This video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. And hi guys, and welcome to the Empress Show with me, Geri, of course, or Cleopatra. No, I'm kidding. And this is the second edition, basically, of me covering this story about Netflix, Cleopatra, and for what it's worth, guys, this has brought some questions that are pretty damn important. So we're going to discuss some of that today. And also, I am going to cover maybe one or two videos. We'll see how much time we have because this is live. But I recently discovered, alongside this scandal, the channel of Metatron, and he is absolutely amazing. He is just I don't know, I mean, one of the best people on YouTube to go, I mean, for history, to search for whatever you wish to know, gladiators and a lot of stuff, guys. So he is, wow, I probably watched most of his videos by this point. So he also brought up some amazing points, and he is a guy that does a lot of research, so he's not speaking from his butt or anything like that. Okay, we are going to do that a bit later in the video. You also, guys, if you like, it's good for context to watch my original video with my dear colleague Logan, and we both talked about this issue. We reacted to the Netflix trailer, all of those things. So guys, first of all, thank you. And we have a Geri. Thank you, dear Ivy. Yes, so this time it's actually a lot colder than last time, so I couldn't wear my Cleopatra dress and like cosplay more as Cleopatra, but I think that my, general appearance is close enough. And Cleopatra did have reddish hair, according to what we know about her and her depictions. And yes, Metatron is good when it comes to Roman military history, but he's big on the Far Eastern studies, at least for Japan. Okay. I have not actually watched a lot of the Japan stuff yet. I mean, a lot. Most of his videos, not the Japan ones. Okay, so let's not, go off topic and get into the meat of things, because I have written down some just amazing stuff that I'm so passionate about to talk, to talk about these things. So firstly, this guys here, representation of Cleopatra, is the same one that I used last time, but this time I actually did my own thing on it and I did her makeup and I put a wig on her. But this version of Cleopatra is a recreation of one artist on Reddit. I put the link down below once again to his work, to his original image of Cleopatra, based on her historical depictions, because we do not have a body, unfortunately, of Cleopatra. Now, first, guys, for a bit of a context, for the longest time, since I remember, I was fascinated with Egyptian history in particular. Like, this is my, this is the area that I most specialize in terms of my interest and what I've read, learned, and I started to do that since a very, very young age, maybe from the first grade even. And I really love Greek history. I really love to learn more about Roman history, but Egyptian history is like, for me, just so close to my soul somehow, some way, but I felt amazing attraction to it since the very beginning of my life. There was like, I don't know what. I remember having interest towards Egypt, in the same way that I'm remembering who the heck I am. So it's kind of like that. Okay, and knowledge about things like Egypt and other history was not under question. I mean, we just stated the facts we learned in school, what were the known facts by that time. So nobody was like trying to rewrite history and totally replace everything that we know. So what is happening now is absolutely crazy. It's a crime against history. It's a crime against the future generations, the current kids that have no idea what the heck the adults are, bickering about. And what happened now at Cleopatra is like the last straw of complete and utter destruction. I mean, the attempt of the destruction of real history. Because the Cleopatra latest series that actually is going to come out like 2 days, I think, from now. Now is the 8th. The Cleopatra documentary is supposed to come out in 2 days' time. And I'm not even sure how Netflix can release that with a straight face, but at this point, at least they have to rename it not as a documentary. I mean, they have to label it not. But point is, guys, that people didn't believe that this is going to happen. We had, and we still have, I think, a TV show with the Black Achilles, which is a crime upon itself to change things like that. And of course, guys, it is absolutely the same if, let's say, like I said actually last time, take a very famous and respected historical figure that is black in terms of their skin color. So yeah, take anyone. Like take Whitney Houston. We had a recent movie about Whitney Houston. How would anyone feel? Not only black people, but how would anyone feel if Whitney Houston was played by a white person? And that movie is not even a documentary. It's supposed to be like a drama about her life, but it's not even a documentary. And they still try to be accurate because that is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to depict things in a correct way, to not twist the truth, to not try to rewrite reality. Why would you do that? So we are going to talk about the principles of how you can cast anything really. Should casting be applied to, should correct casting as much as possible be applied to everything, where that be drama that's trying to depict real events and real historical figures, where that be documentary or whatever, and should the ethnicity of the people in it be also correct? I mean, should the actors have the actual ethnicities of these people that they're playing? So this is also very, very important, guys. Okay, before I go on a complete and long rant, because we do have to also get to the amazing video of Metatron, let me see the comments, guys. So Andrew says casting should definitely be as close as possible to reality. It's an adaptation of reality they're trying to do after all. Yes, I totally agree, Andre. Yeah. And thank you, Andre, for the compliment. I tried. And Ivy says, well, all these shows and movies will not see great success because if they aim for seriousness, they fail the moment they go out of their way to change that much. Yes. And Andrew says, hi, everybody. Hope you're doing great. And doing as great as possible. Trying to come back two things, because on the 6th of May I actually had a name day here because I'm named after Saint George, which in Bulgaria is a big deal. The day itself, not me, being named after him. But like, imagine if Saint George is played by a non-white person, where we know that he was white, an actual historical figure. Just another example here. Okay, so now we gotta focus here and we gotta keep this as tight as possible. So yeah, guys, how first, I don't know what could be first because there's so many things to tackle, but how do we know if Cleopatra was white? Well, we do have her all of her family tree with a few persons missing, like I think her grandma and her mother, was pretty damn significant. Then there is the sister, and the sister is not white, but also we have no idea if she's actually a Cleopatra's sister because her body's remains look to be younger than Cleopatra's supposed sister. So saying that her sister was even existing is an extreme speculation, let alone truth, let alone anything having to do with Cleopatra's skin color or whatever. So, how do we based, how do we know? Because her body was never discovered, her tomb or whatever it is, never discovered. So we still don't know where she is, if there's even anything left of her, unfortunately. So we do know, and it's absolutely perfectly enough to just look at all the statues of Cleopatra that actually tried to, in general, depict people more accurately. Egyptians, they had more artistic, well, freedom when they were depicting their people, but not the Greeks. The Greeks were trying to get the features of the person that they were depicting. And there was even a lot of detail in these statues sometimes. So there's some, um, how is this called? Fresque? I'm not sure. But the point is that all the things that we do have of Cleopatra, mostly the statues, the head sculpts, all of that, are extremely close to each other and similar, and it's obvious that they are depicting the same woman. So it's not like all of those artworks are not matching because they're pretty close and they are matching. There's particular features that, yes, are those Cleopatras? Yeah, they are. You can tell that this is she. And looking at her family tree, we do have maybe somewhere, I mean, some Armenian, like DNA there. Um, I'm not sure about the Persian one, but guys, you gotta see this in detail. The point is that even if she had some Armenian somewhere or Persian somewhere, that was like a few generations at least ago, and everything else was kept in the family, meaning that they had inbreeding, which is pretty disgusting, of course, but they did it to keep the family line as pure as possible. So it's brother with sister and uncle with niece and blah, it's ugh. Egyptians did the same. So from white, she would be white upon more white upon more white, and even if she had something that will suggest a bit of it of olive skin because of Armenian or something like that, that's gonna be like so far off. And plus, I think Kim Kardashian was Armenian, not sure. Those are still white people. I mean, it's like a variation of the white race. Obviously, there's a lot of variations of the white race. For example, I have blue eyes and very white skin, but not all of the white race have my skin tone, and some of them have a black or like a lot more actually brown eyes than the lighter color. Brown eyes are just more common. There's some people with green eyes, some people actually with gray eyes, pretty gray. That is how my grandma was. My dad is with blue eyes. My mom is with yellow greenish eyes. They look very interesting. So a lot of variation here. And my grandma was blonde, like naturally blonde, which today's times is very rare, actually. And my natural hair color is actually brown to blonde, so light blonde, brown, sorry. Some strings of hair are actually pure blonde. I have some strings that are pure blonde, which is very interesting. By this point, even if I try to wash out the red, my hair appears still reddish, just like on Cleopatra's portrait that I'm trying to name. By the way, Geri, speaking facts, she should go to Hollywood and teach them how it's done. Well, thanks, Andre. I think I missed one comment though, although I don't want to get into the comments because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. But let me get another one. Oh yes, Andrew says indeed Cleopatra. Sorry, Ivy. Indeed, Cleopatra and Antony bodies were most likely paraded by Octavian. Ugh, oh, horrible. What happened after his triumph? I don't think we can tell. Yeah, it was my second time. I'm not religious, but the trip feels so gratifying. Oh, wait, you went somewhere? Ah, you went to pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. I have no idea where that is. You met great people, seeing our true nature as humans, which is being nomads. Ah, okay, so that was enlightening. And uh, dear Clayton says, and the statues of her siblings too, clearly not African. Yeah, of course. So we have her father, Ptolemy, the Ptolemy dynasty, all of that. So yeah, they had so much inbreeding that they they will not allow anyone to be born that does not look like this. Basically, they were not tolerant of such things. Not very much so. Anyway, so with that being said, that we know of her likeness, how she's depicted, we know her family tree. With that, we can be certain that she was white as possible, as freaking possible. So who then should be, playing Cleopatra? Was Elizabeth Taylor a very suitable choice? Well, some people would say Elizabeth Taylor was English. Okay, well, here we go into the whole topic about should actors be close as possible and even their ethnicity sometimes. Well, here's what I think. I think that if we know how a historical figure look like, as much as we do know that, they should try to pick an actress to represent their looks as much as possible. So maybe if you saw that show Rome, there was an actress there that really, you can say look like this kinda, not exactly, but kinda. And yeah, she was white. I'm not sure about the hair, if that was reddish, but it was really close enough. It was not the most beautiful representation of Cleopatra, but then again, we are not sure if she really was, because based on her, you know, on her busts and all of that, she wasn't. She really wasn't that beautiful. Maybe she was super beautiful for these times, but not in today's times, or just, I mean, we just see more beautiful people since then. That's kind of like the thing that just happened. So I think that the most objective thing to do is just to pick an actor or an actress that will look as close as possible to the real deal. Now, does this mean that they have to be, in this case, Greek Macedonian? Absolutely not. First, today, Macedonia, a lot of people have no idea, but they're actually Bulgarians, just like me, and they don't have anything to do with ancient Greeks that are Macedonians. They like to believe that. Sorry, my brothers from Macedonia, but it's just not true. So, it's not historically accurate. So no, they should not pick an actress that is Macedonian Greek, if such thing even exists. They should not test the actors, DNA to find out who is like the closest one to an ancient corpse DNA from that era. It's absolutely ridiculous, because our white or whatever genes, they repeat no matter in what country you live in. I mean, I could have actually ancient real Greek Macedonian genes and have no idea about it. I could have. I could have ancient Trace, from Trace, because that was still Bulgaria at one point. So, I definitely have some Slavic genes, that's for sure. But the point is that we all have genes from somewhere, if you're black or white. We all have a few, a ton actually. So I might have several types of white race genes in me, and I wouldn't know it. So that's not the point. I say go with the look first. First the race, if the race is accurate. So let's say like Elizabeth Taylor was white, it does not matter that she is English. It does not. It just doesn't. By that time, also, it was about the fact, that they wanted to cast the best, most beautiful actress to play Cleopatra. It makes total sense. And people went to see the movie like this. So they're not so far off at all. And the people still has to have the movie still have to have a commercial success. So they picked the best actress for that at this time. And it was great. And she looked great. And she's probably 2-3 times more beautiful than original Cleopatra. But I wouldn't like now in today's time. So if we really go for objectivity, I wouldn't pick Elizabeth. They were because you have to have an established rules for these things, so we don't have this chaos that we see now. So the point is, guys, so we can go forward, is that we do have to have established rules for casting when it's about documentaries and when it's about drama or just fiction. So what those rules what are those rules? I mean, according to how I thought about it. Well, you always have to be close to the original source material, no matter what. So when it comes to historical figures, close as possible, as far as we knew how they look like, as far as we can have an education guess how they look like. When it comes to any other fictional character, close as possible once again. So, a lot of people make the comparison with Little Mermaid, and they say, well, okay, this is not like the original, but it doesn't matter that much because it's not a historical thing, it's not a documentary. Well, if we say yes to this, we are also allowing that to happen. What happened actually now? We shouldn't have a breach of these rules at all. We should always go for objectivity, no matter if it's fiction or not. So if Disney wants to make a live action Little Mermaid, and it's based on the old animation or on the original fairy tale, that original fairy tale is also based on European history. European people, you know what I mean, on European, all of that was European. I mean, in the similar way, like the guy that wrote The Witcher based everything in it, like myths, legends, whatever, on our types here of culture and folklore and all that. Like in a similar way, the Little Mermaid was written. So she would be white. She would be whatever she was in the animation. So that should be kept in the same way. Now, something else. If you ask like, well, Geri, if everything is kept the way that it is, how are the black actors going to get any work? Well, that's the amazing part. You see, because there's a lot of historical figures that black people did have and no one knows about them. Why? And this is pissing me off because no one actually respects black culture and black people enough to go the extra mile and do those movies, those documentaries. No one. Well, I guess maybe except Jada Pinkett Smith that decided to wash her hands because, well, she made the first season of ancient, like whatever that name is of this documentary series, the Black Queens, all of that. She made it about a black queen, okay, but then continue on. Make the documentary about the other black queens and men. I mean, make about the men because they also have so very cool characters. About there's like a black guy that became a samurai. This is mind-blowingly amazing story. They didn't cut his head right off, which at these times were entirely possible and a lot more likely, but that didn't happen. So there's like mind-blowingly awesome stories of black people that no one really depicts. So the huge disrespect here is towards absolutely everyone. When you take an obvious white, the whitest of the whites, the white queens of Egypt, when you take that, and you turn her black, you not only disrespect the black people's heritage and history, but you do disrespect, of course, our history, Egyptian history, the history of all mankind, because these ancient rulers are our human history, because we are humans. So whatever you change in history affects us all. It's going to affect future generations, how they perceive the world. They will not learn from the mistakes of ancient history. They will not have a realistic view in their minds what exactly happened, who did what, and all of that. Everything do matter. So you do disrespect all of history, all of people, and then you do additionally disrespect the black people, because you are, it's like Jada Pinkett Smith and the Netflix and all the people that greenlit this in their right minds were like, oh yeah, we are not going to make a documentary about the next awesome black queen. We're just going to take from the other people a queen, and we're going to turn her black, because we don't want to make documentaries about the real black queens. Like, who cares about them? We're just gonna steal. So we're just gonna steal now. Great. That's very good. It just shows amazing amazing respect towards everyone in humanity when you steal from other cultures and change them, race swap them. Amazing. And what do you teach your black kids then? That you have to steal from other cultures to have your own? When you do, but nobody wants to respect you enough so they can actually make it on screen, represent it the way that it was? Oh my gosh. Is it so hard to like put efforts and money into actually representing black people? When you don't do that, then you disrespect them, and you do once again disrespect the whole world, because we, the rest of the people, do not know about these things. They are not popular because no one is covering them. We have to know. We want to know. It's interesting, but we don't. So doing this, the black thing to Cleopatra, it is a huge break of, I don't know how to call it by this point. It's like a conduct. It's a, breakage of common sense, disrespecting history and everyone in it and the future generations and all of that. So, to sum up this far, yes, when we do the casting for fiction or historical movie or show or whatever, you gotta keep it as close as possible. The same thing with fiction. When you take a character and you like King the Conqueror in Marvel and you change them to black, once again, you are changing the history. You are like, oh my gosh, we are going to do this mercy to the black community now and change this person. Because why? There's amazing black characters and superheroes like Black Panther, Blade, Luke Cage, and others. There are others. One of the first, actually, there was a particular one that like paved the way for others, and that was like so long ago. And like, what? Nobody is talking about this. So once again, let's spit on real black history and steal it from other people, and just forget about the real one. Just totally like tarnish it, like put it away, put it under the carpet. This is what they're doing. So Jada Pinkett Smith is not doing anyone's a favor here. And she, by the way, I'm pretty sure by the looks of her, she's not pure black at all. None is Will Smith. They probably have some white grandfather somewhere, or grandmother, by the looks of them. But they will say they're from Africa when a lot of generations ago, maybe, but not anymore. Anyway, that's another topic. So I said about the fiction, said about what about the real Black Wings and characters. The actors should look like the character no matter what, like I've said. And yeah, I actually said everything that I want about those things. Now you're going to take a look at your comments, and then we're going to get to the awesome video that I really want to discuss by Metatron. So yeah, I'll let me read your comments. My voice has to like rest for a few seconds. Hi to Optic. Okay, I have to go up a bit. Ooh, okay. Honestly, actors should live the role and show it on screen. When it comes to looks, yeah, try to stay at least somewhat close, but if you have Gem in the hand who looks only 70% similar, go for it. Not sure about that. I really want, to be close as possible. I really want that. So Gal Gadot, as much as I freaking love her, I do. She just does not represent those ancient Greek features. She doesn't. So she's also not suitable for Cleopatra. Yeah, she may be close by what we thought before, like by other movies and depictions, but she's still very far off when reality is concerned. Oh, Andre. Andre is saying it's funny how Geri would make a much better Cleopatra than the horrible casting, as would the image on the thumbnail, which is also gorgeous. Yeah, because, that's the closest to the real one as possible. And Clayton agrees, well, I'm flattered, guys. On the 60s were a wholly different period too. What was in back then changed in the 90s, then in the 80s, then throughout these decades and ever after, and so it shall change forever. Well, that is why I think that we should have these established rules, because what Hollywood did before is also not correct. Like some white guy, I forgot who the actor was playing Genghis Khan. That is crazy. Should never happen. The same with Cleopatra. Should never happen. Just get some actor that is close as possible to Genghis Khan, and that's it. It's really that simple. Oh well, thank you, Optic, for the compliment. And Ivy says, I also think that in a serious adaptation for a story tale, especially history, nowadays we have all the tools to be quite accurate, so that's important. When it comes to an artistic take, go crazy. Well, as I said, in my opinion, of course, I think that to avoid any such atrocities, we should never go crazy, even in fiction, because we are killing the characters. We are killing what made them who they are when we change their looks so much. Everything is important. I think that looks should be respected, whether that be just skin color, doesn't matter. If now I, for example, or imagine you create a character and they're black, white, or whatever. I actually created a character called the Dark Man or something like this when I was little. I never thought about his skin color. He was just all in black. But let's say that he... my apologies, guys. Apologies, just getting late, and this is live. Let's say that he is, white, because I will probably make him white. Just how I feel. I'm surrounded by all white people. That's probably going to be my vision. It's not about anything else really. Just that is exactly how it's just going to be in my head automatically. So let's say that this guy is white, and somewhere along the line somebody decides to make a movie out of it, and I'm still alive, and I see that my character is going to be played by a black person. Well, that's not gonna be my character anymore now, is he? Because if he grew up as a black person, he will have, different attitudes towards certain things. Maybe not. Maybe he is raised by a white British family, for all I know. But yeah, the point is that when you change whatever it is, his race, that is significant. And I would be totally against it on principle. So we do have to have principles about these things and rules about these things to protect the integrity, the truthfulness of characters. It's the same way with black characters like Black Panther. I mean, the freaking character is called Black Panther. Yes, anyone can wear the costume and be the Black Panther, basically. In terms of the technology, not exactly in terms of the herb, that's not a topic from the comics, but point is, you cannot make King someone that is an outsider and from different ethnicity or race, and make them take the Black Panther mantle. I mean, you can, but that's gonna be like a disrespect to the real Black Panther. So don't do that. If you are not going to apply this to black characters, Asian characters, or whoever characters, you should not apply this to white characters as well. There should be all around equally objectivity. So this is all about, I'm speaking all about objectivity and how important it is to be kept straight, because otherwise, when you do this to the Little Mermaid, for example, when you forcefully change her race, that is forcefully by definition. You wanted another race to play her just to be different, and you did it, and you ruined the original material altogether. So that is a violation of what made it what it was entirely. So it doesn't matter if you changed her with an Asian actress, or whatever it is, Eskimo, Latino, doesn't matter if you do that, you are breaking the integrity of this character. So that is what I think we should never do, no matter if it's fiction or not, because then, once again, we have reached the point of where anything goes, and this is not objectively right. Okay. Yeah, and hi to Kakoi Cactus. He says, I can't understand why they're not making movies about actually black people and cultures, like Mansa Musa, the richest man in history. You see, that's also one of my points. So amazing, thank you, thank you. The movie about Axum Kingdom, Ghana Empire, the Great, Zimbabwe, absolutely. Nibia, of course. Okay, and hi to Jeffrey, Sam. Oh, Ivy gave one thing. Oh, and Logan is here. This could be an about the future video, original black comic book characters. Amazing, Logan. Thank you so much. Okay, let me go back to Jeffrey's comment. I think that if you're going to call it if you're going to call it a documentary, it should be according to what was documented. If it's fiction, then just change the names and make it imaginary. Well, once again, as I said, but of course this is your opinion, but yeah, I already said what I think about this. Okay. It's fiction in the sense that it's not the real history, because the live action show movie, so even if the show is very historically accurate, it'd still be fiction. Oh my gosh. Okay. If it's documentary, it should be more like a study, although many of them are atrocious, especially about antiquity. Well, here it goes. Something that I just thought about. When I was little, I actually watched a ton of documentaries, National Geographic, Discovery, and some of our own TVs here, Bulgarian TV. And I learned a ton about nature and history from them. Now imagine if little Geri, me, was watching bull crap like Netflix Cleopatra, and I'm like, she was black. Imagine how, I mean, what that is just going to change my whole perception. And this is not good, once again, for anyone. Lies is like poison in a lot of ways. People just don't think about that, but it's like seeps through your soul, and it ruins the foundations that your whole being is standing on. So it's very important to have principles and rules that will keep everyone's truth safe somehow. So totally truth, facts, whatever we can prove that is, over feelings. I mean, I'm not feeling bad about something that Bulgaria didn't do somewhere 1,000 years ago. I'm not going to cry over it and, cry myself to sleep over it because, I didn't do anything. It was ancient history and so on. But, people are just like holding on to some stuff that they didn't do, and they allow this to affect their whole lives. I mean, if we did something, okay, what's the better example actually that I want to okay, that's tough. So let's say that okay, so let's say that someone said that Bulgaria, yeah, like the Macedonians today that say that they're not from Bulgaria, they're not Bulgarians, actually they are. But yeah, they're actually a very good example because all of history that we know, because it's very recent history as well, we do know they're Bulgarians and they made their own country. We allow that, but then they decide to resent us and say that they're like from Alexander the Great and all of that. That's a complete nonsense. And they allowed feelings to come up with stuff that are not true, and they allow feelings to resent us for no reason, instead of just acknowledging the facts. I mean, okay, we allow them to have a country. It's all good. Just be pals. I mean, let's be pals. We're the same. But no. So stuff like that, stupid stuff like that, feelings over facts, are ruining everything, our relationships, how we see the world. It's throwing wisdom out of the window. It's throwing common sense out of the window, making us seem like imbeciles. It makes people go backwards in the freaking evolution. We are a lot about intelligent, and we like to say we are the most intelligent people on earth. Yeah, of course we can reason, but then we don't use the reason. We use our feelings. Animals are feelings, senses, and all of that has to do with emotion and feelings, senses. Yeah, once again, and we have on top of that reasoning. The I factor, so to speak. The I mean I am factor that they don't have. So this is what is the biggest difference between us and animals. But when we start bickering about stuff like that, that's not even true, when we start prioritizing feelings over facts, we're becoming stupid, so to speak. We're becoming animalistic, and we're going backwards. So why would we want to screw our whole human race by endorsing this type of behavior and this type of dealing with things? Because that is what we see in our culture today. We have the HAW movement that is also responsible for what is happening to Cleopatra now. A lot of people trying to push a lot of narratives about it. This is excusable, this is okay, this is totally fine. Some things that were never fine before, now they are fine. And there's the other end of the spectrum where other people are starting to build up a lot of hate towards these movements, rightfully so, but also they're also going to the extremes, and they're not really thinking about objective facts. Another example for this, and sorry, I'm going to read your comments. Read your comments. Another example is that I recently had an argument with one of my friends, which is never pleasant. And it was about, something that he sent me, and I didn't thought it was funny. I'm going to tell you right now exactly what it was. Just let me drink some water. Gotta get to the Metatron video though, but here's an example. So he sends me a part of a comic book, and it's about it's like a caricature. It's supposed to be funny, yeah, but it was about the guy that pretends that he has a cat in his arms. So a woman comes to see the cat, and she's very happy, like, oh, cats. And I think this guy tried to grab her boob, or he did, because she was so close to him, focusing on the cat. And then when she just went in the other direction, he shows that the cat is not real, and it was just like a puppet in his hand, and he's like, ha ha ha. And I said that this is very sinister. I didn't take it like it was funny at all, and he couldn't understand why this is sinister. And I explained to him that, when you're trying to approach someone with deceit, it is evil by default. I mean, this man, in this case, this could apply to a lot of other situations, but this man was literally trying to play off a good quality of this woman, which means that, she has this good quality to love animals and cats in this case, and she was happy to see this cat, and she had the purest intentions possible towards the cat and this whole situation. But he played off of that. He took that pure intention of the other person and made a mockery out of it, just so he can grab her boob. So this is some simpleton humor. I have a lot of humor in me, very well, because you watch me for so long. But those are the things that I will say no to. This is no for me. This is not funny. So, somebody else might see this as me being an SJW, actually. But I'm very against these things. I just can make the difference between when something is really inappropriate and when something is, with a good heart, and it does not intend to do a malicious, immoral thing to someone else, and so on. That is why, when I was growing up and I was a subject of a lot of bullying and all those things, I never joked or did anything that I wouldn't want to be done to me. So I would never do a joke to someone else that I wouldn't want to be done to me, because I know how this made feel. I know how the other person may feel humiliated in some kind of a way, degraded, all of that. So I never ever done this. I was always sympathetic to others, and I also I felt how others may feel. But the point is that there is a difference between like a good humor, something that's really funny, and it is not with these malicious, evil origin. So yeah, and that is the difference between having a true sense of humor, being just a simpleton. And he was basically like that. A lot of men are like this. That men are like this, and I'm like, what? Even he wouldn't do this, but he likes it. So what? And this is also very insulting to other guys that I know that are very good people, first of all, and then they're men. We all have to be, first of all, very good people before we put ourselves in other categories like man or a woman or whatever. First, be a good person, then you're a male or a female or whatever, So I know men that will never, never ever do this, and they would think that this is very distasteful, because it is, you know. So by saying that all men are like this, he's disrespecting his own freaking gender. Well, that's kind of ironic. But anyway, so that's just an example. Mm. Oh, thank you, dear Ivy. So Ivy says you have a lot of empathy, and that makes a human being, and yeah, that makes a human being, and there's never too much of it. Yes, exactly. Okay, let me go back in the comments. We can continue. And thanks to Wogan. Okay, so he says just came by to say there are a lot of black superheroes that never had their shot at movies. Exactly. Thank you, Logan. Instead of taking a white character and make him black, they should just use them. Yes, of course. Because when you take a white character making them black, you're also saying, oh, you black people, you don't have enough of good characters, so we're going to steal now again from the white characters and give that as a mercy to you. That is exactly what they're saying. This could be an idea about future video original black comic book characters. Yes, I read that. Yes, that can be interesting to me. I don't know superheroes overall, at least not nearly as you guys do, so I'm sure there will be lots of new names for me. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for everyone. All those documentaries are fun to watch, but then the actual study will rage about them, so it's nice to spark excitement for further serious reading. Yeah. Okay, watching. You go, Gary, never lose that passion and the will to fight for what's right. See ya next time. Stay safe. Thank you, Andre. Thank you. So, like, there was one about the. Is that a Hitler? That said, we know nothing about them. Hitties. Sorry. From the 90s, when we actually knew a ton already in the 80s. Ahem. But it was a fun episode. Gotta be careful, guys, because I did saw that there was a ton of basically fictional articles now about history, and those things are in the internet, and people are reading them. It's not good. So here's the video. We're going to watch it. I'm going to comment on it. Super amazing. Of course, go and watch it to the fullest extent how it is meant to be seen. This is Netflix documentary Cleopatra thriller reaction, of course, by Metatron. Awesomeness. So let's see it, and we're going to discuss what he is saying. Okay. And of course, have malfunction. Here it is. That's gonna be funny, and I have a chance to rest my voice.
Here we are, as I like to call it, Netflix at its finest. Once again.
And with my new Wonder Woman mug. Here it is. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we've got this new trailer that has been just recently released when it comes to the new Netflix documentary series based on Cleopatra that will be released on the 10th of May on the platform. I'll cut to the chase right off the bat. There are quite a few things within this trailer that already worry me, to say the least. With obviously the most self-evident thing that I'd like to point out, the fact that they chose to represent Cleopatra, who was clearly a queen of Macedonian descent, aka a Greek, a Mediterranean. They decided to represent her as a black woman. But this is not the only problem I have with this trailer. In fact, there is something that this woman says that I think is not only absurd, but in fact, dangerous. As I said on my video dedicated to ancient Egypt, where I dared to propose the idea that Egypt was probably multicultural and multi-ethnic, for which I was called a racist several times, as I pointed out on that video, I did say that Cleopatra was, once again, Greek, and therefore she looked like, spoiler alert, Greek. And in the comments of said video, I was attacked multiple times with people telling me, you're building a strawman, no one is saying that Cleopatra was black, then it's not like they're gonna make a series about Cleopatra being black. Strawman. Here we are.
Echo, okay.
Not to sound arrogant, but my statement was freaking prophetic. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew they were going to do this. Now, on this video, I am going to address what it means when we say that Cleopatra was of Greek descent, when we say she was a Macedonian, when we talk about the Ptolemaic kingdom, which ruled Egypt for 300 years. But this is not the only thing I'd like to address on this video, as there are more subtle things that you may gloss over this trailer which are factually incorrect and, as I say, dangerous, that I think need to be presented as well. For instance, I personally take an enormous issue with this idea.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
Madam,
Her grandma.
with all due respect to your grandma, the approach that she has taught you is despicable. And that's not because, I don't know, I think that this person isn't entitled to her own opinion. Everyone is entitled to an opinion, and I believe in freedom of speech. So
Sorry, my mic was muted. And wait, as Sylvester the cat, from Looney Tunes says, it is despicable with a lot of tongue out. Yeah.
people need to be able to express their opinions. With that being said, there is opinion and opinion, in the sense that if your opinion is that 2 + 2 = 5, I respect your freedom to say it, but I do not respect the opinion itself, unless you present compelling evidence that what you're stating is in fact the new truth. The reason why I find this statement and this mental position as to be extremely dangerous is because what it's basically saying is, I don't care about school, books, teachers, professors, professionals, academics, archaeology, evidence, material good, literary evidence, statuary, translators, scrutiny of ancient texts, evidence gathered from surrounding cultures. None of that matters. I don't care what they say. All that matters are my feelings.
Yes, and just want to add once again that by people like Metatron and me and others, and Demian, yes, that are trying to, bring some truth out, basically, we are protecting, not only that we're not racist, not even a little bit, but we're also protecting everyone. We're trying to protect the Black community, the Black history, the Black people. We're trying to protect the white and the all. The all. Is that about only, even like Black people have 10 shades of black, and we have a ton of shades of white, and Asian culture, and really just it's amazing. Latino, all of it, even Eskimo. you know so let's not forget that we are human beings first, and then we are whatever color and racial features we have, and we are not just that. We are person. We are people, sorry, and we are individual persons, individual people. Every one of us is like an individual universe, even to a lot. In a lot of ways. So when we are protecting the truth and we want real depictions of real, whatever it is, historical figures or characters, we are protecting integrity and everything that has to do with truth and just spreading truth overall, at least. Yeah.
If I want her to be black, she's black. And nothing matters. It's like if you present evidence to this person, this is what's gonna happen. This. Now, the truth of the matter is, history, science, does not care about feelings. And with this specific statement, she's also exposing her bias, her personal preference. She is in fact invested. I'd like to underline that, for example, in my case, I'm not invested at all. I don't care if Cleopatra was black, I don't care if she was white, I don't care if she was frigging Asian. I'm only interested out of personal curiosity and a strong fascination I have towards the classical period, mind you. I'm only interested in learning stuff for the sake of learning. So, if evidence starts to suggest that yes, in fact, Cleopatra was black and she was 100% Egyptian, then great. I'm gonna be interested in that fact because it is a fact, once you prove it with evidence. But considering the fact that, as I will show you on this video, evidence points towards the opposite direction, that's what I would like to see represented in something that calls itself a
Documentary. Yes. So just to add, guys, that that's exactly my point. That doesn't matter in general. Whatever the truth is, we just have to know the truth. It's painful to know that Bulgaria was under the Ottoman Empire for 500 years, and we were killed, boiled in vats, and all of other things that I cannot say on YouTube. But it is what happened, and we have to know this history. We have to know what it was done to us, and the echoes. I mean, the there's a lot of consequences that we see today of these atrocities as well. But they're still trying to change that, by the way, here as well. And they still try to say that, oh no, this did not happen. Although we have all the evidence for it, all the historical facts and recorded history, which was not that long ago. Not that long ago. But they're still trying to tarnish it and say that it didn't happen because modern day Turkey is there and they want to have the influences on us, which is just not right, you know. So we are trying to preserve our history, and some have Bulgarians or people from Turkey, whatever, they're trying to destroy it. But once again, those are the facts, and we're all about facts. And if something happened, we should know that something happened. That is it. No feelings involved. No feelings. If, once again, let's say that in the Olympic Games of 2009, we lost the golden medal to the Russians in gymnastics, which happens sometimes. I mean, the Russians just get the medal. Are we going to lie about that, to ourselves and say, no, we totally didn't lose it? Yeah, on the news, they're just going to say, oh, well, we have it, but we don't have it. Like, what? We have to know the truth. Did we get it? We didn't get it. Okay, fine, no hard feelings. Bye-bye. See you on the next Olympics. We're going to try again. Just an example. This is a matter of principle. It's not about an isolated example. But yeah, continuing on. And hi to Osama. Yes, I am Bulgarian. Gotta check the comments. But we gotta continue with the video because, guys, it's going to be midnight here. So I gotta keep this going.
Documentary. Not a work of fiction, not a reinterpretation, a historical documentary. The fact that a production decides to put these words into their banners and posters means that they now must have a price that needs to be paid in the sort of expectations for historical accuracy that the public should have. You want to have complete freedom? Write work of fiction. I love it how on the trailer they mention on passing, because I mean they had to, that she was a descendant of Ptolemy the First, who was one of Alexander the Great's generals.
Cleopatra was a Ptolemaic ruler. The very first Ptolemy is a general of Alexander the Great.
But then that part is glanced over as quickly as possible and followed by this.
It's possible that she was an Egyptian.
I imagine her to have curly hair like me and a similar skin color.
Also, there are several other themes that we see touched upon in this trailer. For instance, she's a role model for empowered women, and this sort of idea of an empowerment is represented with this statement.
When women ruled with unparalleled power.
This is a woman exercising power.
Also, this idea that they seem to want to present that she wants to protect her country, Egypt, against the European powers such as Rome is very strange.
I would die for Egypt. What would you die for?
She was Greek. She was born in Egypt, but she was Greek. She spoke Egyptian, which is a rarity, by the way. She was the very first Ptolemaic ruler who even bothered learning the Egyptian language. But she was a Ptolemaic Greek. If anything, this clash of civilizations, this struggles between powers, was between Greek and Roman civilizations.
There is no Rome without Egypt.
Now this, spoiler alert I guess, would have been a very powerful and compelling statement if it wasn't for the fact that Egypt actually ended up losing to the Romans and became a Roman province. So there's that. She was Queen Cleopatra the 7th, I'd like to underline, since there were 6 more Cleopatras before her, since every queen was named Cleopatra and every king was named Ptolemy. Even though what I think is happening with these sort of documentaries is the fact that they are clearly trying to pander a specific political position and African agenda, this idea that Cleopatra may have been a black African is not new. And even though there isn't any definitive 100% answer when it comes to racial or ethnic background, considering the fact that we have no idea where she was buried, we don't have a body we can examine, we do have one very powerful tool that can help us understand and at least make an educated guess: Occam's razor. In order to be able to properly use Occam razors, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the two opposing positions, one saying that she was Greek and the other one saying that she was North African, and try to see what evidence points towards what, and then choose the one that is more likely. That is the most academic thing to do, not this and saying, I don't care, my grandma told me she was black, so that's the truth. Don't care, no, don't want to see it. No, we have coins, we have statues, we have fresco representing Cleopatra VII. Here are some photographs from several different angles of the so-called Berlin Cleopatra, which is a realistic marble portrait representing the head, which is currently held at the museum in Berlin, Germany. This dates to her own lifetime, so it's period. Now let's compare that to this portrait of a Hellenistic queen. The woman is wearing a diadem, so we know it's a Greek ruler. Scholars believe that this is a representation of Cleopatra because the portrait is surrounded by Egyptian motifs. Clearly this is an Egyptian queen. Now notice the melon hairstyle and her nose, which is very similar not only to the period statue, but to the nose we see in coins representing Cleopatra. If this painting does indeed depict Cleopatra, then it would shed light to what otherwise statues don't seem to be able to, hence her skin color, which is clearly pale. Also, this is what a Ptolemaic ruler looks like from a period statue. This is a statue representing her father, and this is a statue that we find at the Vatican. Also, outside of performing specific ritual rites within Egypt, in the majority of cases, she was wearing Greek clothing, Greek fashion, Greek headwear, Greek hairstyles. Now, having considered all of this, what are the pointers instead to the idea that she might have been North African in descent? In 2009, a BBC documentary did speculate that Cleopatra might have had North African descent, and this was based largely on the examination and finding of a headless skeleton of a female child in a tomb in Ephesus, modern Turkey. Some speculating that this child might have been that of Arsinoe, the fourth half-sister to Cleopatra. The idea being that if her sister was North African, then it might have been possible that the father of Cleopatra actually married a North African Egyptian woman, therefore making Cleopatra effectively half. The problem of this statement, as interesting as it may sound, is the fact that it's just a pure speculation. There is no evidence to back this up, not to mention that the age of this kid wasn't even matching that of Cleopatra's supposed sister. But of course, because of the fact that we don't have actual bodies that we can examine, what we can try to use to try and even consider the possibility that Cleopatra VII's father, King Ptolemy XII, actually had her with a native Egyptian is having a look at their customs. And one of the problems with this idea that Cleopatra VII's father, namely Ptolemy XII, actually married an Egyptian native with whom he had Cleopatra is the fact that as we examine the customs and traditions of the Ptolemaic kingdom and dynasty, we find that inbreeding and intermarrying within the same family was a practice. Incest was done by royals. And mind you, even Cleopatra VII herself, her first consort was her brother. She was married to her brother. So if we are to use Occam razor, it makes a lot more sense that she was just 100% of Greek descent, perhaps with a little bit of Iranian in there because of some intermarrying that happened during the lineage of the dynasty with the Seleucid Empire. That one makes more sense and is a more plausible explanation to that of, oh well, maybe he married a native Egyptian just because I like the idea. I think the one thing that drives me nuts the most is the fact that they had once again to show disrespect to both the African nation, the African people, and African history by choosing to take a character which, with 90% certainty, we know that looked Mediterranean. By the way, I'm from the Mediterranean, so she probably would have looked more similar to me. They chose to take this character and still turn it black instead of taking one of hundreds of much more interesting and much more fitting rulers of Africa that they could have made a series about, but they didn't because they don't care and it's all a facade. Although then again, why would we expect any form of moral integrity from Netflix, which is the same platform that has published something in the likes of Cuties? Literally, there are so many fascinating rulers and civilizations that they could have chosen if they really wanted to bring up a new, fresh load of representation to the screen, also at the same time telling us the real history, therefore justifying the intrusion of the word documentary. But the sad reality of this corporate pandering towards loud minorities, perfectly embodied and represented by Netflix and the likes, is that all of this empowering women and representation and inclusivity and this and that is all a facade to masquerade their actual true intentions. That the only thing they actually want is money.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. They don't care about real history, keeping the integrity of it, keeping it objective. They should, because, like I said, this is going to affect the future generations. This is disrespecting the whole human history, not only white history, black history, Egyptian history, whatever history, all of the histories, people, and nations are disrespected when you take a character, a historical figure, and just change it to what they were not. So how do you disrespect the black culture when when you are not actually depicting the real, I mean, you're not making this effort to depict the real history of Africa, or the real history of, the black queens or kings, or, warriors in general, just historical figures, and you choose to steal from another culture. It's like, I said this before, but I'm just going to say it in conclusion, that this is disrespectful to the black people as well, because it's like saying we are just going to steal from another culture because you don't have anything. It's like an act of mercy towards you, and we're going to just give you this white queen and make her black because you have to have something to be proud about, which is so insulting to all of black history and so insulting to everyone else as well. So in this case, you are putting misinformation, you're trying to rewrite history, you're trying to brainwash people, you're trying to brainwash the future and current children, and you're showing that you lack integrity, morals, any kind of objectivity, and you prefer to be an animal because you're putting your feelings, your petty feelings, forward, your lack of desire to put some effort as well. So your laziness, your petty feelings, your greed, because money, and you're just choosing to nourish that instead of being truthful. And once again, by putting a lie out there, is a matter of a principle, you're putting poison there in the souls and minds of everyone. So this is not just about race swapping, it's about what this race swapping is actually doing, what it represents, how it opens paths for future things that could be done, and they will be worse. So yeah, just getting worse from here. So this is a lot more better depiction of Cleopatra, and that's it. If you missed some of my points, you can just go back, watch the stream from the beginning. Metatron also said it best. So you just have to be objective, facts over feelings, always, and don't be disrespectful by changing history. Simple as that. And I have no idea what is a helicopter from Bulgaria. Never heard of it. Never. So let me go to the comments real quick, but I really have to go, guys, because it's almost midnight. Okay. I hope that you get why people get mad now. And of course, the people now that live in certain regions and places are not the same people that lived there before. When you go back in history, you will see that things look much different than now. I mean, now in Bulgaria, we have maybe like 5 black people amongst 100, But just a few years ago, we had like one amongst 1,000 or more. So now we have more. You know, just times are changing. But you just go back a few years and everything looks different. I mean, people are just 99% white here. There's some, gypsies as well, which here is a normal term. They're not Bulgarian, they're just, living here. And so on. I mean, you gotta see your history. Okay. Okay, so really, guys, go and check the stream from the beginning so you get all the context and information about these things. And I really personally would totally love to learn more about the real African kings, queens, warriors, this awesome guy that became a samurai. It's just freaking amazing. How did no one made a movie about that story? I don't know. But Logan knows about the story. Yeah, he's going to tell me more about it. So guys, that was it. I encourage you to watch my stream with Logan as well, when we reacted to the actual Netflix trailer. And yeah, I was cosplaying as Cleopatra, kind of like I am now, but maybe a bit better. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you like support me, you can request for me to review certain thing on Patreon, just for regular support, PayPal, and of course, if you like me as your coach, I do I do all of my coaching at OnlyFans. I use it as a coaching platform about fitness, health, nutrition, meaningful, sex educational content, life coaching, my personal advice, my personal progress with fitness and health. All that is there. This way, you get your best value for the buck. And I do weekly content. So that's it, guys. Love ya. And until next time with me, the Empress, or just Geri. Bye bye.